Hi everyone, welcome to the Autoimmune Dietitian. I'm here with another great video linking autoimmune diseases with nutrition and lifestyle. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Annie Rubin. I am a registered dietitian nutritionist and I run a private practice mainly focused on people who are struggling with a host of underlying symptoms from autoimmune and inflammatory disorders. So in my work with my clients, I help them implement a personalized nutrition roadmap really designed to help them improve mobility, concentration, and energy levels to ultimately help them live a vibrant and fulfilling life. So today we are talking about common autoimmune disease triggers. So genetics aren't the only thing that cause an autoimmune disease. As it's been said, genetics load the gun, but something else pulls the trigger. There are a handful of so-called triggers that can launch a dormant disease into an active one. And why are these important? Because if you can uncover and treat one thing that caused your autoimmune disease, you have a better chance of putting your disease into remission. So here are a few of the most common triggers and how to investigate them. So before I jump in, I just need to attach a disclaimer to this video that the information in today's talk is not the substitute for the diagnosis, treatment, or care of disease by a medical provider. This is for informational purposes only, so please consult your qualified health professional for any changes to your medical care. Okay, the first one we are going to talk about is heavy metals. This is a personal one for me because I'm currently dealing with a heavy metal toxicity. Heavy metals include things like lead, mercury, and silver. They've all been connected to autoimmune disease development. In fact, many reports of heavy metal-induced autoimmune disease trace back to over 4 decades ago. So while it's not fully understood how this happens, these metals have both immunosuppressant capabilities and can cause your lymphocytes, which are your immune cells that help fight infection and disease and inflammation. They can also cause these lymphocytes to proliferate. So there are unfortunately many different avenues for heavy metal exposure. Lead can link into drinking water from old pipes or contaminated soil. Silver is found in many things, but the people who are at most risk are those who work with silver daily. So people who work with jewelry, silver mining, and even photographic processing. Silver can also be found in medications, in silver fillings, or dietary supplements containing silver. Mercury is most commonly found in large predatory fish, dental amalgams or your fillings, and thermometers. So in order to kind of investigate heavy metal toxicities or overload, there's both urine and blood tests for these. Getting a provoked urine test is controversial. What they basically do is give you a medication that helps your body release metals from the cells, but that will, obviously inflate the levels of heavy metals in your body. So you have to really work with someone who is qualified to interpret the results when you do this. Okay, the second one are viruses. So there is well-documented research linking the connection between viruses and autoimmune disease. Viruses are another trigger for an immune response. But with some viruses like Epstein-Barr and herpes, the B cells make autoantibodies or antibodies against the body's own proteins. So one reason why this happens is that the immune system gets a little confused as to what the target virus is. And the more intense the virus is, the more confusion it can cause. Another reason is when the virus causes tissue damage, that can release self-antigens from the body, which the body typically doesn't see. And so those self-antigens can become accidental targets of the immune system too. And while this can happen to almost anyone, it takes additional triggers to push someone into a full-blown autoimmune disease. Some researchers suspect that it can happen when there's already a lot of inflammation present. Others may be genetically predisposed to having failure in their immune regulatory function. And so then having a virus just kind of tips them over the edge. So if you think that you may have a virus that's causing your autoimmune disease, you can have some blood tests run to determine if you have a dormant virus that has turned active in your body. Parasites. So parasites are organisms like worms or protozoa that live in a person's body and feeds off of them. Most people who have them got them from contaminated drinking water or food, or you can even get them from a bug bite. And there's many different kinds of parasites. Some are more harmful than others. So the connection between parasites and autoimmune diseases is still up for debate. Parasites can trigger type 2 inflammation in the body, which activates the immune system. These worms and bugs may also cause tissue damage, which can cause a reaction similar to what you see in viruses. There's also some discussion around the benefits of certain parasites called helminth parasites, which may actually dampen the inflammatory response. So testing for parasitic infections can sometimes be tricky. There are stool tests that generally are used to test for them, but sometimes you can get false negatives if your stool doesn't happen to contain a parasite or, eggs or something in it. So there are a few specialty labs around the country that are better at testing for these than others. So again, you must work with someone who's qualified to handle parasites. And then the last one is stress. Stress can be a huge trigger for chronic diseases in general, but this includes autoimmune disease. So for one, stress can trigger a leaky gut, which allows for more foreign objects to sneak into circulation for the body to attack. Second, stress can actually modify your gut microbiome to a less diverse makeup. And then lastly, stress exacerbates inflammation. So in my personal experience, living with an autoimmune disease, my stress levels are directly correlated to my disease activity. When things get very stressful for me, my joint pain definitely ratchets up a few notches. And it's not just me. I hear the same complaint from many of my clients. So if you want to go to my website, annierubin.com, on my blog, I have a few additional blog posts about stress and the inflammation and the autoimmune diseases. So I'll put the links in the notes, but definitely check those out. All right, so just to recap, today we focused on some common triggers of autoimmune diseases. These include heavy metals, viruses, parasites, and stress. So for those of you who would like more help managing your autoimmune disease, I do 15-minute free calls with anyone. You can sign up either on my website or go to annierubin.com. That's where you'll find me. You can also follow me on Instagram at the Autoimmune Dietitian. I'm also on Facebook, Annie Rubin Nutrition. But if you like your video, like what you saw today, like the video, please hit the subscribe button and catch me every week. I pretty much put out these videos every week, talking about another connection between autoimmune diseases, inflammation, diet, and lifestyle. So thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you next week.